Welcome back to AI Fundamentals for Developer series. So far, we have learned what prompt engineering is and explored zero shot, one shot, and few shot prompting. Today, we are going one step further. We will discuss how modern AI models solve complex problems using reasoning techniques. We will compare two popular approaches, chain of thought, also called COT, and tree of thought, also called TOT. By end of this video, you will understand where each technique is useful, how they work internally, and when to use them in real-world AI applications. Not every problem can be solved in a single step. Suppose I ask, what is the capital of France? The answer is immediate. But now consider I have 5 lakh rupees to invest for 5 years. Should I invest in equity, debt, or split the money? This question requires analysis. The model has to think about risk, time horizon, diversification, and expected returns. Complex questions requires reasoning. That's where techniques like chain of thought become useful. Chain of thought is a reasoning technique where the model solves a problem one logical step at a time. Instead of jumping directly to the final answer, the model breaks the problem into smaller intermediate steps. Think of it like solving a math problem on paper. You don't usually write only the final answer. You first perform calculations step by step. Similarly, the model builds a logical chain before producing the final response. Let's take an example. Question. A train travels 60 kilometers per hour. How far will it travel in 3.5 hours? Instead of immediately saying 210 kilometers, the reasoning process could be speed is 60 kilometers per hour, time is 3.5 hours, distance equals speed multiplied by time. 60 into 3.5 equals 210. Therefore, the answer is 210 kilometers. This illustrates the idea of breaking the problem into logical reasoning steps. Advantages of chain of thought. It improves performance on complex tasks. It encourages the model to consider intermediate steps instead of rushing to an answer. It is especially useful for mathematics, logical reasoning, programming, business analysis, and decision making. When the reasoning is explained clearly, it also becomes easier for humans to review the solution. Limitations of chain of thought. It follows a single reasoning path. If an early assumption is incorrect, later steps may also become incorrect. Imagine taking the wrong road at the beginning of a journey. Even if you continue driving perfectly afterward, you will still end up at the wrong destination. For some problems, exploring multiple possible approaches can be more effective. Tree of thought extends this idea. Instead of following one reasoning path, the model considers multiple possible approaches. You can imagine it as a decision tree. At each stage, several possible next steps are explored. The most promising path is then selected. This makes tree of thought suitable for problems where there are many possible solutions. Tree of thought example. Suppose you are planning a family vacation. You don't usually pick the first destination that comes to mind. You compare different options Goa, Kerala, Delhi. You evaluate each one based on budget, weather, travel time, and activities. Only after comparing these alternatives do you make the final decision. Tree of thought follows a similar process by exploring multiple reasoning paths before selecting the best one. Chain of thought versus tree of thought. Now, chain of thought follows one logical sequence. Tree of thought explores several possibilities. This is the key difference. Chain of thought is usually faster and sufficient for many problems. Tree of thought can perform better on complex planning or optimization tasks because it compares different approaches before choosing one. When should developers use them? As developers, we should choose the approach based on the task. For straightforward reasoning, chain of thought is often enough. For planning, scheduling, optimization, game strategies, or problems with many possible solutions, exploring multiple alternatives can be valuable. The important point is to design prompts that guide the model toward the kind of reasoning that best fits the problem. Interviewer often ask, what is chain of thought, tree of thought, how are they different, where should you use each one? Remember this simple summary. Chain of thought focuses on one reasoning path. Tree of thought evaluates multiple reasoning paths before choosing the best option. Today we learned two important reasoning techniques. Chain of thought breaks a problem into logical steps. Tree of thought explores multiple possible solutions before selecting one. Thank you for watching. See you in next video.